Hello. I know I'm in clown makeup. I reposted videos. Anyways, it is besides the point. Today's gonna be a little of a long video because we're gonna talk about the new Poppy Playtime video that came out on Mob Entertainment. Oof, that was gross. Excuse me again. I'm so sorry. Um, now, if you don't know what Poppy Playtime is, it is a indie mascot horror game. You, as an employee, have been sent a letter asking you to come back to the company after you left. We don't know. I'll get to that. You left years ago. It's been a minute. And you want to find out, and you want to know what happened to the employees that used to work there. A letter comes saying, find the flower, you go. And that's how it starts. All right. As you get through each chapter, you descend into the lower levels of Playtime Co. And you find out that Playtime Co. is not to be fucked with. Not to be fucked with at all. We're in chapter 5 now. This is the bottom layer of Playtime Co. We are now finally fighting the big bad of the game. The big bad is the prototype. And I'm telling you this now. Fuck that nigga. Fuck that nigga with every being in my body. That villain creeps me out. And I've watched lots of horror movies, watched and played a lot of horror games or horror adjacent games. Let me not say that, because Resident Evil is up there. Prototype is up there with Resident Evil, because some villains in there I do not want to F with. No. And Prototype, hell no. Did you see how I was talking to Poppy in chapter 4? In chapter 4? Besides the point, I talk about that more in my YouTube video, on my YouTube channel. But I also posted that video on TikTok if you want to watch it. It is like 27 minutes long. Anyways, so Mob Entertainment on the Puppet Playtime YouTube channel posted a video called Restricted, which, if you don't know, every time before a chapter comes out, Mob Entertainment comes out with a bunch of ARGs. So, like, stuff for you to find in between each chapter that gives you more information. It builds the world more. Not just like the games. Like, think how Scott Coffin used to do back in the day with Freddy, with Five Nights at Freddy's. How Alex Hirsch for Gravity Falls will do the same thing, where there will be codes at the end of each episode. In each of the books that you get, there's codes in there. Mob Entertainment does that in between each chapter. While you're waiting for the next chapter, there will be an ARG where there'll be more information. So you have to unlock codes, and you'll find notes, weird videos, whatever. So this one, for this ARG, we get a video called Restricted, like I said, and we see our boy Catnap from chapter 3, and we learn more on what these doctors were doing. Spoiler, the doctors were putting, like, they would test the children, right? They would test the children, and not just any children, orphan children, because they know people wasn't paying attention to them. So they had their own orphanage built into Playtime Co. And so what they'll do is some kids will actually get adopted. To keep up the ruse, some kids will actually get adopted, while others would not. They would get adopted, and then they'll be tested on. And they also, spoiler, in chapter 3 you find out they also raised babies from the ground up, because you find cribs in the orphanage house. There were babies there. So some of them got adopted, and some of them got adopted. They got experimented on. Anyways, so they would test kids in the game center, in the game station, and in the kid that was most compatible with the toy, they would combine them together. So we find out there was a boy named Theodore, because we find this out in chapter 3. Theodore actually was almost free. He almost escaped, right? He was gonna get out there. But then he got caught. And, it's the prototype's fault. I blame the prototype. He got and got put into catnap. And in the restricted video, we see that Theodore, or catnap, he's in a room, he's locked in a room called the lullaby room, And basically, that is a room where they experiment on you and get you to forget your old life. They want you to forget that you were a child, that you had a mom, a dad, everything. They want you to forget. So they'll keep you in this room for minutes, seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months. Doesn't matter how long, they will put you in there. And then if you were in there long enough, if you did forget, but then for some reason something happens and it makes you remember, you will go back in the lullaby room, and they will make you watch stuff that'll mess up your brain, and they'll constantly ask you what your experiment number name is, what's your name, blah blah blah. And my poor boy, my poor boy Catnap, my poor boy Theodore, he kept saying my name is Theodore, my name is, until one day he was just like, my name is the my name is Catnap. Mm-hmm. Now here's another thing. There's two doctors. We meet these two doctors. One of them, his name is Preston. I don't remember what the lady's name is, but Preston, in his tone, he's kind of like worried, and he feels guilty. Like you hear it now. It doesn't excuse, but he like, but also it's like, I want to break this down too. Some people didn't know. We know this because throughout the games there's like little newspaper articles. I think this is an ARJ thing, or like somewhere if you keep looking for papers. But there is a newspaper article that asks for new security guards to work at Playtime Co. Of course, it doesn't tell you, like, it just says new security guards. And then we also know from chapter 2. Am I right? Hold on. Yes, in chapter 2, we from Jacksepticeye, who is it, like, he has a character in the game. There were people that didn't know what was going on. Like, that employee was talking about how he saw a long spider, how other employees kept saying they seen a spider. So, like, there's employees that generally didn't know what the hell was going on, and they were murdered in the Hour of Joy. There were the innocent and the guilty. Now, the guilty deserved it. Oh, they fully well deserved it. But then you have the innocent that generally did not know what was going on in the lower levels of this factory. They didn't know, and then they got slaughtered that day. And nobody knows. Nobody knows. It's like, and here's another thing, like, Playtime Go had all that money. The amount of bodies they had is crazy. They got away with so much. But yes, in the tape, going back, because I'm yapping, in the tape, we meet two doctors, and Preston seems like he feels guilty because he says things like, I don't, he's like, I don't like how feral they're acting. Like, and the tone is kind of guilt. Like, it is worriness, it is guilt, it is shame. He feels bad. He's like, I don't like how they're acting feral, and like, I don't like how they're being, like, you hear that he doesn't like how they're being treated and how this is going on. And the woman doctor is like, because I'm sorry, I forgot her name. The female doctor's like, if I didn't know, Press, if I didn't know you, you're acting like this is your first day. She's like, I've been doing this for so long, I don't care anymore. Like, she has no compassion, no nothing. She's like, this is just another day at the job. Someone goes to sleep, nice, tucked and cozy, while Presido's over probably wrestling with his emotions. And then, another time when they're watching Catnap through the I think it's a two-way mirror. But through the window, Preston again is like, don't you feel bad? Like, aren't you kind of like ashamed of what we're doing or whatever? And she's like, it's just she's basically like, it's another day at the job. There is nothing I don't feel it's just a job. We're doing what we need to do. And I'm over here like, and this is another time there was an employee, because like in chapter 4, you hear one of the security guards, and he is like, I feel bad. Like, when they're screaming and they're clawing at the walls, he feels bad yelling at them, because it's like yelling. He compares it to like yelling at your children. And he doesn't like that. Like, there are employees that felt guilt, but like, you think they should have quit, but also like, this is Playtime Go. If you tried to quit and you worked at the lower levels and knew everything, you would have been dead. They would have had Boxy Boo eat you up and then page your family's office, said, oh my God, we do not know what happened. And they would have faked your murder. They would have faked your death. They would have said you drowned yourself or committed suicide. Like, I don't think you could have quit Playtime Co. You couldn't have left. No.